Hey everybody, welcome as you're coming in. Don't worry, I won't be this close. I'm just getting set up, getting ready to go. Very excited, very wound up. Today, as you know, we have the amazing Jen Rowley on. And oh, thanks, Annie. She is one of my favorite singers in the whole wide world. And she's just the best, and it's going to be incredible. And I'm so fired up about it. Yeah, Jen Rowley, Jen Rowley. What can you say about Jen Rowley? What can you say? She's incredible. She's incredible. I'm so excited. I absolutely cannot wait. Sorry, I'm a little preoccupied. I'm just setting some stuff up, getting ready to go. Oh my gosh, Jen Rowley requested live. I think you guys, I think it's like go time. I think it might literally be go time, which is awesome. Oh, it's amazing. It's so crazy. Technology is so crazy that every time, like we've done this 5 weeks and it's been fine every time. But every time like it officially happens and we're picture in picture and I can see you and you can see me, it's just like a miracle. It's like a tiny little miracle.
I know. I did an Instagram takeover a couple of weeks ago and I fully like dropped the phone behind the sofa and like was a hot mess. So I
Listen, speaking of hot messes, I got some sun today. Your boy is just like
got some sun too.
well, you're in Florida, less surprising. I'm in like West Sad Germany. But like the sun was out today. It was amazing.
It's amazing.
Listen, Jen, let's just start this right. I don't even care if I get in trouble for this. It doesn't matter. Let's start this off right.
Okay.
This is my favorite video on the internet. It truly is. It's unbelievable. And you're just going to be awkward for a second, and it's okay because I'm playing your singing for you. Oh. Jen.
Don't make me cry.
Jen. That is the stupidest, greatest singing on the internet from the 2000 decade. Like, it's unbelievable. And we can get into it. But it's amazing. And that's why I'm so happy that you're on the show today. And, yeah. Amazing. Well, let's do this. Let's jump right in. So that video, of course, is Jen singing with some French tenor named Alanya in BD. And you're doing a bit of a weird piece, a bit of a deep cut. But the first entry into that, because you have an amazing story, and I cannot wait to go down that road with you. But you know, what's it like standing on stage with the Lanya, singing in his language, and doing this crazy piece? Like, what's your thought process? Like,
I mean, first of all, let's just put it out there. I was scared out of my mind.
Sure. Sure.
First day of rehearsal. I mean, meanwhile, I had been doing Vanessa prior to that with Toledo Opera. And I just thought I was the cover, right? I just thought I was the Roxanne cover. I was going to cover Pat Rosette. And so I was like, in cover land, like not fully memorized, like just,
Totally.
Whatever.
You're saying stuff. You and your friends are saying stuff like, "Oh, she'd have to break a leg." Like, of course, I'm not going on. You know what I mean? The shit you say when you're covering.
So we opened Vanessa. No, it was the day before we opened Vanessa. We do our dress rehearsal, and then the next day, the off day, I get a phone call, and my manager's like, "You're not the cover anymore," and I was like, "What did you just say? What happened?"
Yo, and we're gonna get to this. We'll finish this story, but like, this is par for the course for you at this point. Like, this is insane. So where were you when you got the call?
I was at home. I was actually living in Michigan at the time.
Okay.
We were living in Detroit because my husband was going to school to become a speech pathologist, and he was studying with a voice scientist at Bowling Green University. So we were living in Detroit. He was commuting to Bowling Green. And so I was just commuting back and forth to Toledo to do the Vanessa. And I was, just hanging at home, having my tea, watching Netflix, the thing we do before opening night.
Yeah.
Then, of course, that phone call, started the screaming and jumping up and down and, but yeah, And so then a week later, the day after Vanessa closed, I had to go to New York and start my cover contract, which was no longer my cover contract, and sing with Armiliato, with Marco, and Roberto in his, yes, native language on a piece that is very, very dear to him. I mean, he really was the champion of this piece
Yeah,
for
totally.
the whole world. And he knows it inside, outside, upside down. He knows that play inside, outside, upside down. I mean, he's
God.
a consummate professional. And so I was out of my mind. Like I was like shaking, right?
Yeah.
Sweat, looking a disaster. So I walked into the first rehearsal, and of course I sat down, in my chair next to him, and he, was so nice, and Jenny, so nice to meet you, this and that. And we started the first duet together. And he, he's so cool. He's like, I don't even warm up, like whatever.
Yes. So
He's
chill. So chill. Yeah, right. Yeah.
in his chair. I am, of course, standing and trying to be,
You're like full beat, just
full,
like,
yes.
you just walk up in that, you're like, you're welcome. I'm here. Let me stand up. I don't need the music. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be like, okay, I'm super pro. And
Right.
he's here and I'm standing next to him. And I hit I think it's a B flat in the first duet. And he reached up and he grabbed my hand and he shook it. And he was like, Brava, you're going to do wonderful with this role. And I was like, what is happening? So
Holy. And listen, this is, I don't, your story is so fascinating because for those of you who may not know, you got your huge big break in 2010 in Cameramoor when you went on. And that's all amazing. And what I certainly don't want to imply, because I don't think you think this, and I certainly don't think this, is like, absolutely no offense to Toledo and Nashville and New Orleans opera, because that's where we cut our teeth. Like that's supposed to be the journey, right? But like you did it. You did the journey, and like now your opera base reads like the most incredible. Like now you're just like headlining at the Bastille. It just is like, I know it's been your journey, and oftentimes when you're in your own journey, you don't see it like that. You don't see it as like boom to boom, because you were there on all those,
right.
small planes flying into small places to sing for small money. Like you were there.
Right.
But it must be, you have something in you that makes you very good at these high pressure situations.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was from like playing sports as a kid or whatever, but somehow I can find it's easier to find that focus when the pressure is high.
Yeah.
It's easier to push aside those nerves and the shakes and the butterflies and all that stuff when you're like, okay, no, I have to do this job right now. Right. Do that somehow. And yeah, it's scary. It's so scary. I mean, I literally call it an overnight success that took a decade to happen.
but that's the thing, is like none of us sort of see it as that. And I found out about you because I'm sort of a generation in I guess behind you in singing. So like I found out about you through that video. And I was playing that video one time. This is God's honest truth. And of course, my wife, Jennifer, you guys went to school together, whatever. But I was playing that video, and of course, opera is never not on in our house, mostly because of me, not Jen. But I was playing it, and she was like, holy shit, who is that? Because she couldn't see the camera. She couldn't see the thing. And I was like, I have no idea. This Jennifer Rowley? I have no idea. And she was like, no way. She was like, that's incredible. And it was sort of, and she started telling me about your story and this and that. And I'm like, holy cow. So like, for me, it wasn't until, what was that, 16, 17, when the Soprano happened?
I think 16, 17, yeah. Actually,
oh my God. Brava. That is the flex of a century. Right? Let me just turn around and look at my what's the poster say? What's the Met poster say? That's mine. I love that. That is all out. That's
front of me right now. I don't know if I can turn the camera to show you. I have this huge poster.
Yeah.
My Met debut of Level M from the marquee out front.
Oh, that's so vibes. Is your headshot on it? Yeah, moves that to mix it.
At the top. I don't know if you can see it up there.
That's so vibes.
I have like my Cyrano poster there, and then my Tosca poster right there with the Mr.
That is so dope. Listen, also, by the way, I'm seeing a series here where we go into famous opera singers' houses and they give us a poster tour.
For real.
Wouldn't you love that?
I was always so obsessed with when I was coming up, when I first moved to New York in 2005 after grad school, I was coming up in the business and I was studying with Rita Shane, who was an amazing dramatic coloratura soprano, sang A Million Queen of the Nights, and her Met debut was Queen of the Night, and she had this huge poster in her hallway in her little apartment in New York, and this humongous poster took up the whole wall of her Queen of the Night with, I mean, the stars that she sang with is unbelievable. Right. And I myself one day, I was like, I will have that poster.
Of course.
Poster in my music room, in my house, when I am old enough and grow up and be an adult.
Hell yeah. And you've done all those things. Look, I have
my collage of Met posters.
Listen, and no disrespect to your posters, they're very, very nice. But if you got the handwritten TDO network sign that I have above my bed, I think it's super strong.
I love it.
So I love that. Let me see what season it was. Oh, I can't get over that. That's great. So let's talk then. Let's walk through this journey and let's pretend like you were born in 2010. Because I'm sure all the stuff, I'm so interested in your journey that led up to that, but we only have an hour. So you go to Camera Camera hires real covers. They hire real singers as real covers. So you're already sort of in that world of like high enough. But at that time, where are you singing in 2010? Like what roles, what houses?
I don't know if you knew this, but I was actually a young artist. So I was from 2008 to 2009, I was a young artist in Bologna. They had created this Scuola dell'Opera.
Yep.
I think it was like 30 or 40 of us, and there were 3 Americans, and I was one of the 3. And so we were there for, I guess it was about 9 to 10 months. And it was, a full-blown scuola where we had Italian lessons every single day. We had coaching, we had lessons, we had this, we had that. And we all got to do a role. So I got to do Magda in La Rondine. And of course, I got thrown in like a month into the program, not knowing a word of Italian, thrown into, Italian staging rehearsals. Yeah. But I was managed, but I was still a young artist.
Right.
When in 2010, I didn't have any jobs. I didn't have a summer job. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go to Caramore because I really wanted to work with Will Crutchfield on bel canto technique. And at the time, I was still very well convinced that I was a coloratura, which have gotten that out of my head sooner.
That's what Jen talks about. She was like, I knew her as a coloratura. And I was like, that's so great. Like all you do is sing exclusively the big women. That's crazy.
But what's amazing is because I had studied with Rita Shane and because I had that coloratura background, I can do the coloratura roles still, but the bigger, the queens and Norma and things like that,
That, by the way, because the rep is gone now, that is a whole fuck. I love talking women fuck, but like that's a whole fuck that's gone. Is the dramatic, huge, beefy coloratura, and I'm so bummed that the Devereaux got canceled.
It's so perfect because it's in Act 2. You really have to be a dramatic soprano,
of course.
Finale of Act 2 and really bite in and take charge in that scene. You have to be a dramatic soprano, but then in Act 1 you have to be a coloratura,
and you got to have fioratura, and you got to be able to just camp out on B's over and over again. Yeah, totally.
So at that time in 2010, I was like, I want to go and learn bel canto style from Will Crutchfield. And, you know, as a young artist program, you're getting paid. So I was like, great, New York City, I don't have to go to a day job. I can go to rehearsals and get paid and cover a role. So I actually went into audition for Norma cover. And he was like, you know, I have something better for you.
Better than Norma?
Right? You would like this other role more. It's a bit heavier in the actual production of it. It sits a little bit lower. It's a bit more on the Spinto side, dramatic literature side. And I was like, I don't care. Whatever you want to give me, I'm going to take it. I'm going to learn from it, you know?
Right.
So he this Maria di Rohan, and from day one, I was singing in rehearsal because the person I was covering, she came late. She was doing a butterfly, I think, in Australia or something. And she came late. And so from day one, I was singing rehearsals and, you know, working with Will. And Will had even said to me in a coaching, he was like, you are way more prepared than a young artist normally is. So I'm very comfortable allowing you to sing with the orchestra and the rehearsals and stuff like that.
And by the way, that's like, that's my favorite. I miss being in that position. The only thing I miss about being a young artist, literally the only thing that I miss is being in the position of singing before the person gets there. Because it is the ultimate win-win. Because no matter what, like, you're saving their ass. You're keeping them from having to spend extra money. Everyone's so nice to you, and it's the only time they're nice to you as a young artist. And everyone's like, oh my God, you're doing so good. And then when the real person gets there, you don't sound half as good as them. But like, people are being nice, and they come up and they whisper, and they're like, you did these things, but no, I didn't, but thank you.
Thanks so much.
Oh my God. Right.
But yeah, so it was, you know, it was just one of those things where I would go in a rehearsal here or there or whatever. And we got to the dress rehearsal and she called in sick. And, you know, for the dress rehearsal day was also concert rehearsal day and all that. I mean, that's a day at Caramore. And 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And so 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're on the bus, and the stage manager asks me, Will just called, and he'd like for you to sing the dress rehearsal. Do you feel okay doing that? And I was like, what?
You like got a coffee, you're in the big Caramore bus. Yeah.
And I remember being like, yeah, like when else am I going to ever get to sing this whole role again? And I literally, stage manager, give me 5 minutes. I need coconut water. And I like ran to a bodega and bought like a 6-pack of coconut water and chugged it on the bus. Because the rehearsal started at 10 and I was like, oh my God.
Singers we're so stupid and crazy. Like, of course you're like, let me run to the bodega real fast.
Let me go to the bodega.
Unbelievable.
So I sang the dress rehearsal and it was awesome. I mean, it went really, really well. And a lot of people were marking because it's only one day in between the performance. And I was like, when am I going to get to sing this with orchestra again? I'm singing it, you know. And
you're ripping it. You're just like, throw it on the ground. Just.
Yes. And thank goodness I did, because then they had the confidence to say, when it came time to make the decision of who was singing the opening night, you know, they had the confidence to say, Jen, you're going to sing, and I hope you have a dress. And that was the most amazing part, because I did not have a dress. And they actually bought one for me because I was too poor. I was like living in New York City, working temp jobs, and I hadn't won any competitions or anything yet. So I had $12 in my bank account that day, like when I went to Caramore. So they sent me to Saks, and there was someone that met me there, and we bought a dress, and they gave that dress to me, and the rest is history.
Did you have to stay within a budget, or were they like, just open it up? It's opening night, Caramore, ball out.
I remember them saying to stay within a budget, like I think it was like a $5 budget or something like that. But you know, you can get a nice gown for
get a Tadashi, throw it on, sing opening night, do your thing. Yeah, that's the one thing that I never expected. Like, opera singers need to know a lot about a lot of things, you know, because we're doing, you know, we're doing these different shows and they have so much source material, blah, blah. But like, the thing I never thought being a like redneck or a red face, at least from Alabama. I never imagined like my working strong knowledge of gown designers.
I know.
But if you married a singer, you got to do it. So that, wow, okay, that's amazing. That's incredible. So like you're whisked away to sax, like Julia Roberts style, for a better reason. And you're whisked away, and they throw you on stage, and it's read any review from that night. It's a thundering success for you.
That was the craziest thing, because I woke up in the morning and it was everywhere. Yeah. Not just like New York Times or, one paper, two papers. The Associated Press picked it up. Yeah. And I had people texting me from San Francisco that I just opened the San Francisco Chronicle and here you are. Yeah. And what does it say?
Yeah.
It was a huge rave, and people saying, she came out a real star, and I was like, oh my God, this is unreal. Unreal. And one would think that overnight success then means you get to sing at all of the houses.
Yeah.
Sing another job until 2 years later, because it's so weird.
Oh, Jen, how does that happen?
Well, that performance got me the auditions, and then
you have to do the auditions, and then eventually, because their seasons are all cast. That's right. A great point. So you were just like, you've got. And listen, before you did this, you won a Richard Tucker career grant. Like you weren't not anybody.
Right? Until 2012. So
I didn't know that. Holy, this is crazy.
Yeah, and so literally competitions kept me afloat until I sang Musetta in Oslo in 2012. Like I did a Donanna in Savonlinna in Finland before that, but like 4 months before that. And I had been doing, because I kept getting invited, we want you for this competition, Opera Index.
Yeah, sure.
Foundation and all of that. And thank God for all those competitions, because I could quit my job. I got a nanny job. And so I was working as a nanny in the afternoon. So I was picking kids up from school at 3 o'clock. And I love this family, the Crooks family. They were amazing. They're from London, and they had 3 boys, and they took good care of me for 2 years. I worked for them. I picked their kids up in the afternoon, and I made them lunch, dinner, and did their homework with them. And so that from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m., I could go to any audition I wanted. I could go to lessons, coaching, anything I wanted to do.
Incredible.
And I was a nanny, and I made like, maybe $500 a week, something like that. But like the competitions kept me afloat. So, thank God for the, the Sullivan Foundation, for the Index, the Gerda Listener. Thank God, because I would not be here. I wouldn't have survived. I would have taken a full-time job at Saks, where I was offered like an assistant buyer 5 times and never took it, because I was like, no, I can't. I have to be a singer, So thank goodness for all those competitions. And then, I had a manager, and so I was doing auditions and that debut, and I got the Oslo Musetta, and I got, Tosca in Dresden and some other things. And that's when things started, to get scheduled. So from 2010 to 2012, I was just auditioning, competitioning, being a nanny. And then 2012 was really when everything sort of changed. But like I said, that's 2 years after I did Paramore.
So you have this insane, your story, I know your story is crazy. It's even crazier than I thought with this timeline. So like you have this insane success, crazy success. You were just out of masters when you had the Paramore thing.
In 2005. And then I did the Young Artist Program in Bologna, and then I did the Paramore. So I was out of school in 2005. And I worked a day job at Saks Fifth Avenue from 2005 to 2009. and just studied and took lessons. And I did Martina Arroyo's program in the city. And honestly, Martina's really one of the reasons that I'm still here today, because she's like, no, you must keep singing. You must. You must.
She's the best. Singing for her in that apartment. I don't know if on just standing on the rug and singing for Martina Arroyo is such a terrifying thing to do.
And then I would take the bus from 49th up Fifth Avenue and go to the leader cross every Tuesday and Thursday to do full prep class. And we did we did Gilda together, we did Puritani together, we did Hamlet together. This was when I was still a coloratura. And we, and then I think I did some Donna Ana with her. But I mean, really, she was like, no, you stay in my role prep class. And there were several times that she didn't take any money from me, so she was just like, no, you have to keep singing.
This is maybe too early in the conversation, but for this question, but like, why you, right? And like,
I don't know.
I have some sneaking suspicions, but like, this story is so true of so many singers, and like they just don't end up singing Tosca at the Met.
No.
Maybe a like cover plus one, like you made it, but like they certainly are not singing opening nights at the Bastille. Like, why you? Because this is what's so fascinating in your story, is like, everyone knows that opera has sort of a machine, right? The machine. I think I'm very talented, and thank God he gave me a throat, blah, blah, blah. I understand concepts. I can sing opera. Great. I'm also like tall, white, and loud. That helps in opera. And so just call the privilege, check it before you get to the door, right? So I understand that. And the machine, looking back on it, I made it to the Met semifinals when I was 21. I got kicked out, but that's where Dr. King heard me, and then Rice. And if you start to put my story together, literally, now, because I was in it, it felt like I was struggling. And I was. Yeah. But like, literally speaking, I did the big young artist program in America. I went straight from that. I had the big competition year. I did all the stuff. The machine and Epstein picked me up and swirled me into opera. I've been lucky enough to sustain myself in it based on how good I am, but like, the machine did it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. But the machine took you, and you just went for a ride on that thing.
I went for a very long ride. I'm going on that.
There's this question in opera often of like, is it talent? Is it talent? Is it virtue? Is it gifts? What is it? You know what I mean? And I think what is so interesting about you is like what I would have loved to have heard you in 2010, because there's always been obviously something about you, and your whether it's just the vocal mechanism and natural gift, or your ability to like use it and your technique, but like, did you always feel like, I got to see this through because I think I have what it takes to make it?
Yeah,
like, that had to give up on you at times.
I always had this, I have to do this kind of a thing. And I always tell, people ask me all the time, when do you know when enough is enough?
Right.
And I always say to them, when you have done every single thing possible to try to do what you love, and it still hasn't worked, then you're done. Then pick something else and love it and follow it through for life. Every time I thought to myself, I'm done, right? Something else would happen. And I always said to myself, you know what, if I don't see this particular thing through, I will regret it. Because there was something else I could have done. I started off wanting to be a chef. I didn't even want to be a musician. There was no like music, being a singer, not even in the picture. I wanted to go to culinary school. That's where I started in high school. And then I had a teacher who said, just do an audition. Just do it. And always.
Speaking of falling over phones, we're back. Don't worry about it. Keep going. You had a teacher who wanted you to audition. Yeah.
Always go to culinary school. Try to go to music school. See if you can do it. And then I did, and I got in. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to see this through. And there were, I mean, there's always times where you're crying on your bed and you're like, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. But something in the back of my mind always was always like, I need to exhaust every possibility.
But but can I say, like, one man, or in this, or woman's, one person's sign to keep going is another person's sign to stop. So for instance, like, finishing third in a competition might be one person's let's keep going, and finishing third in a competition might be one person's never going to finish first. What's the point, right?
Right.
And so I think that is what's so interesting, and what I sort of want to get down to the real issue is, like, you sure, you trusted the ears around you, but there was inherently some trust in yourself that this flesh in your throat was good enough. And so where did that come from?
I think it was always that I felt like I had something to say. And I always felt
artistically, you mean, like, you have to, and this is your medium for it.
I always felt like my characters were my vehicle. Like I know that my voice is not perfect.
It's so damn close. It's brutally close.
For that vocal technique, I really do. You can ask anyone who knows me. I work really hard, but because singing was not a natural thing for me. I don't come from a musical family. I didn't know how to read music when I was in college. It's not a natural thing. I just had a talent. I just had a voice.
Yeah.
But I always felt that I could connect with the character. I could always play make-believe. Even when I was a kid, I was a dancer, and when we did Swan Lake or whatever, I feel that character, and I feel music in helping me to embody that character. And so I think that I always felt, even when times were really difficult, that I had something I needed to say, and that my voice needed to be heard, not necessarily as the best voice in the world, but as someone who could portray the story in a different way that everybody could. And I still feel that way. I still feel like, when I go into rehearsal for a project, I come in with a full, blown character study having been done. I am in love with that woman. I have done my vocal technique work, so I don't have to, worry about the high up and boom. I know how to do that high C. But I want to tell the story. I don't want to just stand and sing, And so I think that's what makes me different. And I think that's what's always made me different. Some people like part of me, and that's fine. They don't have to buy the ticket.
Yeah, right.
But I do feel like that's what always kept me going, was like, oh my gosh, I love this character. I need to put her out for people to see what I could give. Does that make sense?
It does make a lot of sense. I think that it's a really interesting answer, because I think, I will admit fully and totally, while I don't want to see people just stand on stage and do stock gestures, I'm absolutely a voice whore first, like, over everything, like, first and foremost. Like, if you give me a concert version with great singing, or instead of a staged version with anything less than great singing, that's just who I am. That's who I am. But having said that, like, I'm a woke individual of a certain age. Like, I'm not stodgy. Like, I get it, and I love like singing Enrico. Like, you sing Enrico and Ana Bolena, and you can dig into all that awesome stuff, or singing Paolo and Boccanegra, which we're gonna do in Zurich together in the fall. And, like, you get to you poison someone on stage, and he's this conflicted guy, and he's just a sad little person inside, but he ends up taking that on out. All that stuff really interests me, no doubt. But, like, you just have a different gift. And I think that often in opera, we sometimes are afraid to talk about that. And I feel like certainly nowadays we're very obsessed with, and with talking about story and telling story and this and that. But like the truth is like you can throw a rock between 40th Street and 130th and find 13 women who love to tell stories and who love to do it, but they just don't have the throat.
Right. Right.
So I think, you know, I mean, your reason is your reason, of course. But like in the end, like those posters behind you start with the voice. Now they carry, this is just in my humble opinion, you can disagree. And if you disagree, it'll be good for the show. But like, you know, that is sort of where it starts. And nowadays we get so afraid of talking about that. And so like, for me, the way that you're telling of that woman's pain and suffering in that video that I like awkwardly started the thing with, when you're expressing that, to me, that pathos that we feel, that angst, that drama, that there's something that I feel when I watch that clip, that is, it starts with you taking a nice deep breath and making your chords close, you know?
Absolutely right. And you do, I mean, like I said, I work my ass off for that voice. I work my butt off for vocal technique. I coach. I mean, even now at home, I am coaching and having a lesson every single week because I have to keep learning. I have to keep growing, you know, in order to be able to stand on the stage of the Bastille and sing and not make a fool out of myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Working, you know. So no, I know that you're right in that I do. I mean, obviously the raw voice has always been there, and I've worked hard for that other part of it. You know, I've worked hard to get that voice to function, but my voice is definitely not a favorite of everyone. And I appreciate you. I do. But I, as many bad reviews of people who do not like singing as that is fine. And you know, it's one of those art forms where you like what you like and you don't like what you don't like, and something that's aesthetically pleasing to you and me is not aesthetically pleasing to someone else, and that's great, that's fine. But even if you don't like my voice, I am still going to make you know something, and I am going to tell you a story. And I think that was all. Even, you know, if people ever had bad comments about the voice, that was always something I still felt that I could hold on, because I know I can do that, you know.
So then do you think was it just luck that got you out of the cover corner at the Met for a decade and then quitting? Because that's how it happens normally, right?
I also say that it's right place, right time, and prepared. And I am always, if not anything, prepared.
Prepared, for sure.
Prepared. Because you never know when you're going on the stage. And, you know, I had plenty of opportunities that in rehearsal or on the stage, you know, in an orchestra rehearsal or a dress rehearsal or anything like that, where, you know, I always thought to myself, there are people listening. You know, I mean, specifically, the reason I got the Cyrano, the reason I got Roxanne was because earlier in that season, I was covering Marina Rebecca in Guillaume.
Marina Rebecca's so good.
Oh my God. She's so nice. She's so nice.
That's what everyone says, and that makes me so happy to hear.
And she has beautiful technique. Really, watching it is a masterclass. But she said to me during the rehearsal process, she was like, I have done this production 6 times. I am not coming to Tech Week. And I'm like, okay, thank you so much. And I was like, all right, this is, and you know, Tech Week, everybody marks, like, I'm marking. Yeah. I'm at the Met, and I'm going to sing with Fabio Luisi in the pit. I'm not marking.
But then then that's tough though, because you have to make the decision to like potentially piss off a lot of colleagues when the cover comes in and it's just singing it down and you're marking.
So you have to do if you're on stage, you know, just center's marking doesn't mean I have to mark.
Amen.
You know, you have to do what's right for your process. And at that, like, you know what's right for me? I'm gonna sing for Fabio Luisi right now. You know? So there was one orchestra rehearsal that I got to do. And we started with Act 3. And Act 3 starts with her aria, Pur Nostro Amor, which is one of the most awesome party arias in the world.
Yeah.
And coloratura, just fabulously wonderful. I love it, right? So, of course, we start there, and I'm like, okay, it's 10 a.m. Rock this thing. Let's go.
What time did you wake up?
a.m. I was up at 6, but I was
yeah.
and I did it, and I sang with the orchestra, and the orchestra applauded, clicked their sticks, and it was amazing. And Fabio goes, I hate those ornaments. Okay, we'll work on them. And I was like, okay. But everyone was in the hall for that orchestra rehearsal. You know, Peter Gelb moves his desk down into the theater, and he has a piece of plywood, and he puts his computer on it, and he works. When there's orchestra rehearsal, he works from in the theater. And at the time, John Fisher was in the theater, and John Fisher heard that rehearsal, and he invited me to a working session, maybe the next week or so, where we sang through 8 arias in 25 minutes. And because he was like, I just want to do.
Yeah.
And like, I have to figure out that you cast right now. And we were talking about Donna Anna, we were talking about things like that. And then the Cyrano, then Patricia Rissette got injured and had Cyrano. And he told me that he went directly up to Gilm's office and said, give it to Rowley. Do it. From that rehearsal, tell as a cover that I got to sing because Maria just didn't come that week. She just, you know, she had done the production 6 times. A lovely gift. So
and now you have to, now after you've done a production 6 times, be sure to tell your cover, listen, sweetheart, I'm not coming.
Yeah. And also from that, Fabio Luismi cast me in Florence and gave me a Mahler 8 in Florence and gave me Boca Negra in Zurich from one rehearsal. So right time, prepared. If I wasn't prepared for that rehearsal, I would not have made the impression that I did. You know?
If I'm a soprano right now, this isn't a very encouraging story because it's just like, God, I have to do all that to make it. I think like, but you do.
You do. And you know, and thankfully someone with wonderful ears.
We fell again, but we're back.
Someone with wonderful ears as I need to help this person. And that's what John Fisher did for me. That's what Lenore Rosenberg did. When Lenore was casting at the Met, Lenore said, I will keep you in this house. I will give you all the covers in the world. Someone will hear you. And that's the most important thing. I mean, you, especially for someone who's along a similar path like me, who didn't have all of the young artist programs and the managements and all of that.
Sure.
You have to take advantage of your opportunity you are given them. And someone will hear you. The walls have ears in the world. So
wow, that is, I mean it is certainly encouraging, no doubt. I mean, it's an encouraging story, but like there is certainly part of me that's like that's sort of like, it is, I mean, it's just kind of a crapshoot opera. Like, I mean, I know so many low voice male singers or sopranos or whatever, and like they're really great and they do a lot of really great things, and then it just all of a sudden, like, they don't get that opportunity, and they, you know, they get stuck in cover corner forever, and then it's just done. Yes. And it's a testament to you. Obviously, it's a testament to your fortitude and to your patience and to your preparedness. I mean, that's really something so fascinating. Wow. I'm
right.
shook.
Prepared, right place, right time, prepared. That's why Caramore happened. Right place, right time, prepared. So there's luck. There's definitely luck, but then what you can control becomes how prepared you are for the situation that comes out of that luck. You know, that's in your control. Nobody else can do that for you. Nobody else can do that. You know, you have to self-motivate to make that happen.
So let's say, let's play a fun game. let's say you won the Met in 2008. You got into Lindemann. You became a big bad star. Like, and all of a sudden by 2012, you were headlining at the Bastille and Traviata or whatever. Let's just rewrite your story completely. Do you think that you could have handled that then?
No, no, because in 2008, I did not have the vocal technique that I had in
Right.
2016. And I think that had I had won that in 2008, I think I would have sung myself out in 5 years. Sadly, but I do think that's what would have happened. And
Yeah.
in 2010, when I did the Caramar debut, I noticed right away that the voice was starting to change and it was starting to open. I was 30. Everything was starting to deepen. And one day I just had this crazy chest voice. And I don't know where it came from. It just, one day the trap door opened.
God was like, how old is she? Throw her chest voice.
That's
Give her a big.
Exactly. So I was studying, like, and at the time it was in coloratura. She basically wanted to put the voice back into coloratura land, and it didn't want to go there. And so, as you know, I love Rita. I love what she did.
That's a hard conversation.
It's a very hard conversation. And she said to me, she said, you are not tied to my apron strings. If you feel that your voice is changing and I don't have the skill to teach you that. And she came right out and said, I do not have the skill to open your voice the way you want to. Find someone who will help you. And I will be fully supportive of that. And I think that was an amazing thing for her to say.
Yeah.
I found someone who would help me open the voice and even, and get into the body and allow the body to work instead of the throat. And thank God for him. Michael Paul did that for me. And I thank God for him every day.
Yeah, and I think that's also a good. There are a couple of things. I think it's a really good lesson because for the amount of people that love Michael Paul also can't stand him, and the amount of people that love my teacher Stephen King can't stand him. Like there's, and I think that is a big spectrum. So find what works for you, and it may be a different person in 5 years, and having the guts to speak up and to say, like, this isn't feeling right. This is not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to start feeling easier. Everyone says at 30, and it's not. But I also think what is a super important story, because 95% of our listeners are young sopranos. That's just where, like, Hook, Push, and Pray and the TDO network lie, because you got to get all the information you can when you're a young soprano, right? And what I think is so interesting is Lise Lindstrom. I don't know if you know. Yeah. So she did her first ever Turandot in Mobile Opera.
Love it.
Mobile, Alabama. And she was doing her last year of audition. She told her husband, this is it. I'm done. And Jerry Shannon, who was my mentor in undergrad, he heard her in like a NOLA cattle call for like a Mobile Opera, probably at that time $1,700 a night performance of whatever. She was auditioning for Donna Anna. He heard her sing, and he said, you're not doing Donna Anna. Like, we're going to change the season because Mobile Opera turns on a dime, and they're awesome. It's the greatest little company. And they're like, we're going to do Turandot for you. Come learn it and work with me and, like, move into my house for a month before. He did that, and all of a sudden, with that role alone, she's made $1 million or whatever, right? Like she's become this huge star. And so I think, and you have to be careful with this because who knows, but like singing into yourself, singing into your voice slowly, like don't be afraid of that stuff, because I feel infinitely less fatigued after singing the Dutchman aria than I do Se vuol ballare, honestly.
Repertoire will tell you if you are doing what is right for you or if you are doing what is wrong for you.
Right.
If it is too small, you will feel tightening around the sternocleidomastoid muscle. So the big
preach. Right. Let's go. Let's talk muscles. I love it.
Because the base of the larynx is controlled. The base of the larynx is controlled. These two huge muscles that connect down into the sternum. Yep. If the repertoire is all, there becomes a tightening
Yep.
in muscles. That tightening prohibits the larynx from tilting all the way.
Come on. Yes.
To get full closure of the vocal folds. When you do not have full closure of the vocal folds, you have to grab from the constricting muscle at the back of the larynx, try to shut them. And then what happens? You get fatigued, air escapes, you waste air, you cause dryness. Dryness causes hemorrhaging, polyps, whatever else you want, and you run yourself into a mess.
And
However,
then, by the way, the gross irony of that story, the thing that makes me want to scream out of a window, is then you get even lighter rep handed to you because they're like, you can't handle it. And it's like, no, go the opposite way. And like tilting. Oh, I love that you said tilting. I say tilt. I'm teaching a lot of lessons online these days. And like, I just say tilt constantly. Like you have to, like quarter wavelength theory, like you have to tilt, you have to get ahead of it.
You gotta get the full length of the fold. Yep. It must be, especially for women, especially sopranos, because sopranos naturally have a gap at the back.
Yeah.
I have a gap at the back.
Yeah.
And I go to the ENT and I'm like, gap at the back. I'm like, I know.
I know I'm not fully abducted. I'm doing my best over here.
Gap.
Yeah.
But at that point, when the gap is fully closed, when the folds are fully closed, the larynx is released, is allowed to be buoyant, low, happy. The tongue is not depressing it. Everything is free. The pharynx is open. The head is allowed bone conduction. The chest is connected. The breath is connected. The body's connected. The pelvic floor is connected. Da, 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 da. Then you can sing whatever you want.
Yeah.
And the registrate in and out all by itself, freely and calmly.
And then you can, and then when you find that, and when you find that quiet larynx, low body, open head, tasty sound, when you find that sound, oh, I'm digging this so much. When you find that, you can then I think, then and only then can you make a rep and FOC decision, because listen, I'm doing my first Dutchman next season. That's a big band. That's a big band, a big scary band. And like for you, I'm sure the first time you sang through Tosca with the band in Act 2, you were like, uh-oh. But like, that's where you start to learn repertoire, is like, because like the truth is, it's like, of course I can go sing Figaro or whatever, but like, I feel more comfortable in at home in this other stuff. And so that's where you start to, but like everybody wants to put the cart before the horse. And that's something that you never did.
The easiest thing that I have sung in my career thus far has been Aida.
Incredible.
Easiest thing I ever sang, because right now, at this point in my life, in the last year, I finally feel like I have mastery over my instrument. I know how to keep that larynx low and relaxed. I know how to keep the body. I know how to use my lap back. I know how to keep the fair. I know all this. Aida sits in the most perfect, wonderful place for my voice type.
Yeah.
Everything is free, and you can just go right up. It was, not even kidding you, 8 performances. Aida felt like a joy. Just, I mean, vomiting down. You know?
And meanwhile, like if you don't get, if it is very likely that if Will Crutchfield in 2010 gives you the cover of Norma instead, we never find this. We never have the Jen Rowley. I never get my clip of you singing Serrano.
That's right.
Like,
because I would not.
Crazy.
But I'll tell you what, if I tried to sing Countess, I die.
Right. Yep. You would have struggled through singing Countess in San Jose and Toledo and you would have never made that step up, and you would have and by the way, again, no offense to those companies, they're great stepping stone companies, but like that's what you'd have done. You wouldn't have made enough money. You would have been completely burned out. All of your relationships would have fallen apart, and you'd been like, opera, I'm out.
Yeah. No, for sure. And the repertoire will teach you what is right. Pardon my French, but if it feels like it's not right. It's not right. Sorry. Yeah. You might want to sing Lucia to your heart's content, and trust me, I wanted to sing Lucia, but Lucia was not. And if you're the best Lucia in the world, better be like Jessica Pratt and have the easiest high F you ever.
Yeah.
And all your coloratura, no one worries about you. That's when you know you're Lucia. When it is easy and it flows and it's wonderful. If not, if you are a queen of the night and you do not roll out of bed every single day with it, you are not a.
Yeah, because if you don't roll out of bed with it and you're doing the production in Bregenz on a lake and you had to take a boat to get there, that F ain't coming out that night.
No, I'm telling you. And I tried to sing Queen of the Night. I did. And the hard lesson to learn is when it isn't easy, it is not right. Even though you want to sing it, trust me, I wanted to sing Gilda. I wanted to sing Lucia. I wanted to sing Puritani, but they were never easy.
Vibes.
They were never. But you know what? It was Tosca.
Yeah. You know what was easy? Ritorna vincitor. Ah, cake.
And that's, that's the most major lesson that you have to learn, especially as you're coming up into the business. You have to find the technique where you understand it so you can recreate it at home and on the road, but that it shows you what repertoire you should actually be singing so that you aren't in on someone else to say, hey, do you think I could sing this? You should know that.
Right.
So somebody, I'm just going to put this out into the universe because I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
My manager and I were having a little chatty chat about Lady Macbeth because number one, it's bel canto. It's Verdi bel canto, falls into the same line as Trovatore and all those beautiful bel canto Verdi. And he said to me, do you think you could sing that? And I was like, I know I could sing that. Because I'll just leave it.
And all that crazy coloratura, you'd be incredible at it. You'd be incredible at it.
So you have to know for yourself those things so that when you do have those conversations, you can say, you know what? No, I'm not going to sing the Countess. No, I get it. It's $5,000 a show. I'm great.
Right.
But no.
Wow.
No, thank you.
That is absolutely incredible. Well, we have 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining. But that was, I could do this. I could do this for hours. It's so interesting to me that through this conversation, we've learned, like, it started like you telling stories and you wanting to be an artist, and then it ended with you being like, well, when the pharynx gets pulled down and the Bernoulli effect happens, like, it's so clear to me that, like, that you believe in both. And I think that is what is amazing. And I think we desperately need more artists like that. Because as much as I want to see, someone cry on stage, I don't want them to blow their cords open while they're doing it. Right.
You have technique or you can't tell the story.
Yep. Totally.
You have to find that technique first. You have to understand how your voice works first and your body, and then you can determine what you can do. I don't tell directors no. If a director asks me to lay on the floor and sing with my head, my tenor's head, because I can't. Right. Because I know my body, I know how to make my voice work in that position, running, whatever. I know. Yeah. You have to become that person who doesn't know. I can try that. Yes, I can, because I know. It's important.
Bravo.
It's important.
We have 10 seconds left, so I'm going to sign you off